Welcome to episode 7 of the Peach Pod, hosted by Protagonist Apparel, where we are unfiltered, unstoppable, and unapologetic. My name is Lexi Floor. As always, I'm hosting with
Amanda Congialdi,
and we're here to talk about all things women's tackle football. Today we have a very special guest, one of my personal favorites, a Team USA teammate, legendary longtime tackle football career, owner, coach, and player simultaneously, and an absolute beast on the field. Let's get into it.
Lexi said it all in terms of favorite people. I've met this person, maybe 2017, 2018, at a football camp years ago, Women's World Football Games. Some of you may remember, some of you are babies and don't remember. Has played over 10 seasons. We're going to figure out how many because I don't even know. And multi-time USA national champion. Champion. Like, that's wild because I can't make it once. And I just learned she's a former model when she was a little baby, when she was a little chap. So, Knengi, welcome to the show. We appreciate you coming on. Please explain being a model. I didn't know that about you.
Yep. I was on the cover of Sunset Magazine one time. I was in a bunch of like Klutz. They're called this Klutz Press. It's like kids' costume and face painting books. I was a known commodity. My sister was in some JCPenney catalogs. So, we made the rounds.
You get some of that. Do you have any footage of that? Do you have any photos?
Yeah, do you have any pictures?
I don't have. I have like the catalog clippings and like some of the pictures from it. I'll see what I can find and
we have
send
to
you
get some of those. We're gonna post those here. We just have to get you to send them to us.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you for coming on the show. And I don't know how many years you've played. So kind of give us a little bit of your background, your journey from when you started to play football and until your roles right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I've been playing football. You said over 10 years. It's closer to like 23, 24 years. No, right? It's
like
a
my age.
small person. Yeah, there you go. So I actually started in 2023 in San Luis Obispo playing 8-on-8 football against Odessa Jenkins.
Well, you said 2023.
No, 2003. I know I said 23.
2003. Got you.
Wow. Against OJ.
Against Odessa. I thought I killed her one time because she was the running back and I was playing D-line and I face mask all the way, but her helmet was so loose, spun all the way to the back of her head. She dropped. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, you should see her fingers. Were her fingers straight at that point, or were they?
They were so good.
You mess them up? No, I'm just kidding.
That's wild. So did she like hold it against you up until today? Does she remember that?
I'm sure. She remembered it. I've reminded her of it because we were playing in a championship game and we ended up winning. So there's that. But it was fun playing against her. I think that's how we originally met. We both played in that league for a while, and then she moved to Dallas and started playing for the the Dallas Diamonds.
Diamonds.
Wow.
Yeah, back in the day. IWFL.
Oh yeah. We both played in the IWFL.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, maybe how old is that league? When did it cease to exist?
It ceased, I think, in 18, maybe 2018, 2019.
Oh, okay.
It's been a little bit.
I thought it was earlier than that.
No, it's been a little bit.
Yeah, it took like a little hiatus where like not many, like a lot of teams defected, but then I feel like a bunch of teams went back, and then after 2018 was OJ's Best of the West, and then the WNFC was born.
Oh,
I was in that, by the way, Best of the West.
Oh yeah, I think I went and watched some of it, me and Katie, just to check it out. But we had the Rebellion in the WFA at the time. 2018 was our first season, and
I remember.
We had, me and OJ know each other. That first year, we streamed all of our games. It was the first time we did on Facebook Live, and so you could watch women's football. So we streamed our playoff game against Denver. So OJ was like, "You're doing something that nobody else is. We want that in our league." So that was how the Rebellion ended up in the WNFC, was in that initial conversation. OJ, because of us playing against each other, because after I played in SLO, I played in Long Beach for the Quake. Before I moved to the Surge, where I won that national championship in 2012, and then like a podunk team for a second, and then we started the Rebellion. So, I had some history with OJ. She brought us in for that conversation, and me and Katie just felt like it was the right choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Wait, so why the Rebellion? Starting a team, I feel like you have so many options for like names and colors and logos, and why the Rebellion?
So there's a multitude of things. So for us, we wanted, because San Diego has such strong military ties, we wanted something that felt like warrior like. And so like Rebellion felt like it was kind of like a it felt like it paid homage to that. I think with the weapons, we also thought of the battle axes in terms of like warrior women were known for carrying like battle axes, and so that kind of played into that. But also the rebels just rebelling against everything that we're not supposed to be doing. And so it all kind of came together. I mean, literally, we were like out on these like paddle boats in Santa Barbara, and we're like spitballing names and all kinds of stuff, and it popped into our heads, and we're like, yes. So we had to get a logo made, but it took a while. It took a while to figure it out.
Lexi whispered, "That's badass."
It is. It's badass.
That,
Yeah.
so do your players know like the history behind that?
Probably not. I think they know that
You
like
should share it.
I think so too, but I think they know that we just like came up with it while we were like out on the paddle boats. But we talk about it a little bit, but I don't think it's like a known story. So maybe now.
Should totally share it.
What was the first year of the rebellion?
2018 was our
In
first
W-
season.
In the
We made it to
WFA,
the
right?
playoffs. Yeah, in the WFA, we made it to the playoffs against Mile High Blaze. Dot dot dot. And it felt like a game we could have won. I was dealing with some injuries, and my coach, our head coach, ended up after that season starting a new team. So I think he wasn't quite as invested as we wanted because the plays he was calling were not the choices for that game. But it was close. I think we lost it by maybe like a touchdown in the end, but it was fun. I think the biggest thing was that game it overall got over 12,000 views. And it was one of the first women's football games that was, playoff games that was streamed. And so I think it really was something that set this whole streaming thing in motion, in my opinion. Maybe I'm being a little biased because it was my team and our idea, but that was something that when OJ brought us in, she liked the idea of doing that. We already had, one of our players, her husband owns a video production company, and so that's who filmed all of our games because he films high school games.
Wow.
So he knew how to do it. So like we had instant replay, we had the score and stuff on the bottom because he's like all these things. He's like, I want to do it. Like I just need this, switch thing and we can do it. And we're like, hell yeah.
For
So
free?
I mean, yeah, we paid for their hotel when they traveled with us, and then his
That's a
wife paid for
bargain.
free. But
That's a bargain.
because they weren't doing it. I mean, and now I know it's like a huge thing for them, but like it for him, it was like this fun project to figure out like, how do I stream it? How do I like get instant replay? How do I add other features to the stream so people have more information? So I mean, from game one, we had instant replay on our stream.
12,000
awesome.
streams. I mean,
Yeah.
12,000 views is.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be braggadocious with that too.
It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, man.
First year, first game,
It was fun. Well, it wasn't our
Brag,
first
girl.
game. It was our last game, but
last
still.
game. Go on, girl.
Yeah. It was good.
That's a rare thing.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
So I guess, have you heard the rankings from Terry or other people? I mean, other than outside of the WNFC, have you heard other people ranking teams?
I mean, I've seen Terry's lists. I saw like one other that felt way skewed, but I mean,
Which one was that?
I'm not even gonna remember.
It was
I have a
probably
horrible
yours.
memory.
It was
mine.
Amanda's.
I never,
All I
I
remember is-
never, I never publicly put a list out in the WNFC. I have said it on the podcast. That's why I said check it out.
So before we go into other rankings, what's your top 5 in the WNFC?
Oh,
That's a good question. I mean, top 5 is us in Mississippi, and then Texas because they're doing what they usually do. And then I would say I think Washington's looking pretty good. It's hard with Kansas City not playing this week, so you don't get to see them again. But it also looks like Chicago is having some good success. I've only been able to catch a little bit of their stuff, but I'm excited to see that the new teams that we brought in are being competitive. That's super important for our league, is that any new team we add, they can't sit at the bottom. You know what I mean? They should be top 2/3. Otherwise, why are we bringing another program in? So,
right. Yeah. And I think that we see now that with the Jersey Shore and Chicago, that teal is a good color.
Teal is a good color.
It's not
I
bad.
love
It's a
both of those unis. They're both
fancy.
They're
fire.
not bad.
Yeah,
They're not bad.
it's good for a football team, I guess. It looks good.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
I
both
like both of
fire.
their jerseys.
I have shoes that would match it, so I can't be mad at it.
So Lexi wanted to know why the rebellion, right? I want to know why number 47, because don't be offended, but like I think it's one of the ugliest numbers
Wow.
in football.
What does that even mean?
No, because like,
How
do
many
you
seconds?
ever look at a number and be like, that's like an ugly number in women's, and like not just women's football, but like
Mm.
in football,
Yes.
like 39,
Ah,
49. You know, I'm
what?
just
41 is Katie's number.
49. I said 49. Sorry,
Okay.
Katie. But like, why
41 is so
47?
good.
Like, have you always been number 47?
No, so when I played in that rec league, I was 99.
Mm.
Yeah, when I played in the rec league, I was 99. And then I got to the Quake and they were like, you can't be 99. I was like, okay, well, I was like, what do you have? And they had 47. And I liked it because it felt like a number that could play anywhere on the field. Offense, defense, special teams, didn't matter. And the longer I've worn it, the more unique I've found that it is. And I happen to be pretty unique. So I feel like it's a good fit for me. When I picked 11, 11 is just 4 plus 7. So I, but I felt like I had to have a QB, like, because I even did research. Because when I switched to QB, when we started the rebellion, because nobody else was gonna be QB for us, I was like, I played a year in 47, 2 years in 47. And I was like, it's not a quarterback number. Let me see if anybody's ever worn it. No, I couldn't find a quarterback that had worn it. I found like a wildcat guy, but I was like, I got to switch to a QB number. So I just added them together. That's how I got 11.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you can also switch to a bunch of different positions. I think that's dope. You're just like, all right, I'm just going to be quarterback. Like,
Yeah.
let's go.
I
That
remember
was
Carry
when
your
you were
team on your
11.
back.
Yeah, I remember when you were 11. And then you switched back to 47
Yeah. You know, that's a similar story with me for 26. I
with the
was,
Divas.
yeah. And with the Falcons. Actually, when I first started playing, I started in the middle of the season and they were like, we just have this jersey. And it was 26. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I just kept it.
That's not an ugly number. I don't think that's an ugly number.
It's a cute number. I mean, it grew on me, obviously. I love it. But now I'm 87. So
Yeah, it's a weird number. It's
Is
weird.
that
It's
an ugly
still
number?
weird seeing you with number 87. I don't
is.
see you as a number 87.
Yeah, it's weird kind of. But I mean, that's also growing on me, actually.
It's not growing on me. I was number 10 in Philly, and then all the numbers I wanted were not here in with DC, and so they gave me 6. I didn't even know until like one day I got my jersey and I'm like, oh, that's ugly. And then I just like Knengi just kind of made it my own. So I was just curious as to why you were number 47.
Wait, what's your favorite number? What would you have been?
I would have been 10.
I
was number 10.
I would have been 8.
Would have been 10.
It's my favorite number, or 88.
88.
Yeah.
You want to be like a double, like a double
Yeah,
number.
it's cute.
22,
Yeah.
44.
What's your favorite number, Knengi?
I mean, my favorite number now is 47, but like my birthday is October 15th, so I've always liked 10 and 15. But those didn't feel like football numbers that would fit me because I was a D lineman and I was a linebacker. So 47 felt just, I mean, it always fit. It always, from the time I got it, it always felt right.
So what is it like being an owner, coach, and a player at the same time? How do you juggle
That's
that?
brutal.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It just takes very specific planning. Like I have to be really intentional with our practice plans, with what I need from my assistant coaches, with what I need to be doing as far as like my playing stuff. So I think there's a great support staff with the rebellion, and so that helps a ton, especially on the ownership side. And then the football side of it, it's like I love to do it, and so I think it's a lot of time and energy, but it feels very fulfilling to do all the stuff that I do as a head coach. And so it makes it easy.
Do any of them conflict with being able to perfect those roles? Because I from what I know of you is that you're a competitor, right? Whether that be coaching, because you were the defensive coordinator when we played in the Toys for Tots, ultra competitive. I know you're a competitor as a player, and I can imagine you're even more competitive as an owner. So you're kind of spread yourself thin, right? Like because it requires so much time that doesn't exist in a day. So do you feel like that conflicts with being able to perfect at least one of them, rather than like as opposed to all three?
No, well, I'm gonna say no with like a little bit of gray, which I normally hate. I think as an owner, like we have a board. There's 7 people on our board, and so we're really lucky that like our GM who's on our board and one of our players is also on our board. She is basically like our CFO, and they do a lot of the like team admin stuff. um, so like realistically, I'm an owner, but I'm more on the football side of the ownership. Like when it comes to decisions, the big decisions, like financial decisions are made between me and Katie, but like team sort of decisions are made with the board, right? So it's not all on me. Um, and then as far as like the coaching stuff goes, um, I mean, full transparency, kind of the architect of our offense and our defense, but it comes from 23 years, 24 years, however many in women's football. And then I'm going on my 16th year of coaching high school football. So
Yeah. Mm.
like the way that we do things is like you can ask our players, it's super intentional and sometimes it's way slowed down. um because Jimmy Farrell will tell you, if you don't build your foundation in cement, everything's just going to crumble on top of it. And so for us, we're intentional in the things that we do, and everything is to make sure that when we get into season, our foundation is solid, and so we're just building from there. We're not constantly trying to rebuild new things every week or every other week. Um, and like honestly, that's I think the level that women's football is at right now. You need to be a technician in the things that you do, because if you do too much, we just don't have the time to perfect it.
Amen. We've all been,
Yeah,
right?
that sounds like a lot.
I'm sure you've experienced like coaches trying to put too much in. Like we only have like 2 hours, a couple days a week, two,
Yeah.
3 hours, a couple days a week. We don't have time for all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice because they get excited. They're like, let's
Yeah.
just do this and that. And it's like, whoa, hold on.
And then there's like the opposite of it where some coaches don't do enough with the
Mhm.
time that we do have. And then there's a position group standing around, right? So
Yeah.
then, where's that middle ground, right? And which is what Ninji's talking about, the way the team is run there.
So last weekend, you were playing a game and you hurt your ankle. Was it your ankle or your leg or all of it?
All of the
What happened?
above. I broke my leg in 4 places, two of my tibia, two of my fibula, and then I dislocated my ankle. It was
That's
good.
always hard, so hard to hear, even if other people or if you get an injury, like I mean, we're playing a sport obviously where you're bound to have some kind of something. Like my fingers always hurt, but the big injuries, I feel for you, man. Like
It's
that's just,
brutal.
yeah, it's brutal,
Uh, that's
especially.
How so I watched a little bit of that. The little bit of the San Diego game that I watched last weekend consisted of watching your injury. And then when I heard about it the day after, I was like, wow, that is wild. Especially to see somebody with a legacy like yours go down like that. Like you really feel for that player. How was the dynamic of the team on the sideline when that happened? Like take me through, the effects of your injury.
I mean, it's hard because injuries happen. I've sent enough people away on cards that this
Pictures.
might be the universe coming back to me, right? But it was one of those things where like I heard it and I felt it, and I like literally my coach could hear me because I had the helmet mic, and I'm like, yep, that ankle's broken. And I sit straight up and I'm like, yep, definitely broken. And people are like looking at it, and I'm just like, there's nothing I can do. It's like lucky for me, the pain level was not too bad. I've been told my pain tolerance is quite high, because once they reset my ankle, I was good to go. The pain went to a zero. I know, right? But it's I think on the sidelines, like I said, I brought him over. I asked the rest of it, can I bring him over to talk to him? So I brought him over. I gave him a little pep talk. But something that we talk about a lot is that we're built as a team. As a coach, it's really important to me to coach up all my players. Our program has really high standards, so like people learn really quickly whether they're going to be able to meet those standards. It doesn't mean they have to be the best player in the field. It just means they have to come every day ready to work and learn and be coached. And we'll put the time in. And, I like to think that everybody that comes to our program gets better. And so that was kind of the message to them. So, I was told there was a lot of tears. I got taken away in an ambulance. I made them watch the game with me as we drove away.
Wow.
Oh,
Dedication,
yeah.
man.
Hell yeah.
You know what?
But
I don't expect anything different from you though.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I mean, I feel like you would do that same
I
same
think we'd
thing.
all,
Like I
yeah.
would just assume that you would just be like, all right, cool. Like let's watch the rest
How
of
do
the
I
game.
get the game on? We have Wi-Fi in this ambulance.
exactly.
So how do you I mean it sounds like you have a really great culture there. Like you have pretty high standards. You have some things that I feel like maybe some teams could mimic to try to get a better, I don't know, culture or like a better all around player mentality. Like how do you feel like you cultivate a particular culture for your team?
I think part of it is that we're very intentional with who we bring in, whether it's from the portal or it's international players. We have we do at least 2 interviews with anybody that we're thinking of bringing in, and we watch film with them. Like we go through their film with them so that they understand what it's going to be like to be coached in our program, because we're a learning program. People don't come here, at least we don't want people who are coming here chasing stats. We want people who are coming here ready to learn football, get better, work as a team, win championships. But it's, the for us, we talk a lot about like no BCD, no blaming, no complaining, no defending. And when it initially started, when that was the thing, it definitely was coming from the top down, and we're at a point in our culture where it's coming from the bottom up. So, somebody will do, it says something at practice, and you'll hear a veteran say, "Hey, we don't. That's BCD. We don't talk like that." And so stuff like that is what solidifies a program. Stuff like when we talk about being built as a team, right? It's not we've got our first stringers and we've got our second stringers. It's we've got our 1As and our 1Bs. And like obviously you have different levels of football players, but I think anybody that watches our team can see that we try to do a good job of not just getting people on the field, but making sure that they're ready to get on the field. Because I think that's a big difference, right? Some coaches are like, "Oh, I played everybody," and you're like, "Yeah, but that person had no idea what they were doing, and they got hurt or they hurt somebody else." And so we try to make sure that if we are putting players on the field, which we usually by season can realistically get our players on the field, that they're ready, that they understand football. At least to the degree where they can play in a game that is either in hand or out of hand and not hurt themselves or others.
That
I
was
love that.
arguably the best recruiting pitch I ever heard. Arguably the best.
Yeah, that was great. I
Without-
believe in your program now.
Yeah, I'm about to say I'm motivated. Like, listen, if anything happens with the Divas,
Oh wow.
if we for some reason suspend operations like Boston, then
You're gonna
come
move
on,
cross
Ninja,
country?
save me a spot there.
Look,
It's like-
absolutely.
I feel like at this point I'd be okay being the water girl.
How long is that flight? Like 10 hours?
No, I'm gonna move there. Ninja's gonna let me move in her basement.
I don't have a basement. I have tiny houses.
Oh.
I'll take a tiny house.
Yeah.
Sleep outside tent.
Yeah. No, that's great because I don't think there's enough of that type of mindset where the coach or the top, right, has a standard, and then the bottom, which is the players, they uphold that standard and even elevate it and hold, maybe even the coaches, accountable to maintaining that standard that was
if
there.
anything, that just means that it's working,
Yeah.
right? Then like you are doing it correctly if it's coming from the bottom, I
Exactly.
think that's success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I love
awesome.
that.
So we talked about your history in playing 23 years.
Yes.
And I have a question for you, because I can only ask this question to players who have played a very long time. Like, this is my 15th season, right? I've played against a lot of the same teams over and over again, Boston being one of them. I played against them over 20 times in my career, right? They don't have a team this year. They'll have one next year. But my question is, so what pet peeve of mine is like when a player or a coach that you've never played against before you talk to them after a game and they say, I watched your tape and, I know exactly what you do. I knew your weaknesses. I knew your strengths, which I think is BS, right? Because you can't get that from watching just one game or a couple games, right? Until you actually play them. Is there a team or a player that you feel like actually knows your strengths and your weaknesses because you've played them so much in your career?
So yeah, that's a really tough one because like I'm trying to think about it, and I feel like, and this is gonna sound really bad, but like I feel like the players that maybe challenged me the most were players that I didn't play against regularly. Like the players that I played against the most, like I can't think of anybody that I felt like knew me. The person that I would say maybe now probably has the best like picture of me as a player, aside from KO, who's played with me my whole career, would be Gidry. From Texas, because I played against her when I was on the Quake when she was with the LA Amazons, and then I played with her with the Surge in San Diego, and then we tried to recruit her, but like we were not the program she needed when we recruited her, and she came to a couple of our workouts and she knew we were building something, but she knew she was at the end of the career and wanted to go win, so she went to play for Texas. So I played against her a few times, and I think she's probably the player that like has the best beat on me just because familiarity. But like other than that, I can't think of anybody
Hard
that
to, hard to,
consistently ever.
yeah.
So, I mean, maybe somebody will chime in and be like, I shut Ninja down every single time. And I'll be like, my bad.
What about you? Do you feel like there's a player or a team or defense or a coordinator that like, damn, like they had my number or like, they kept me intact,
Yeah, I mean, I think towards the end of my Divas career, I was getting just double teamed or like, just over the top, and then like man underneath. But I think I'm the opposite. I feel like people know what I can do, but like I'm over here like, can you stop me? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I'm gonna
That's
I'm gonna
yeah.
do this. I could tell you what route I'm gonna run, but can you stop me? You know what I
Defend
mean?
it, yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I feel like I learned so many different moves and stuff that, I'm constantly learning. So I'm constantly probably evolving as a player.
Yeah.
But, so I don't even know what I can do. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I still haven't
She's like limitless. Like if you ask her to describe herself in one word, it's gonna be limitless.
limitless.
Like I don't even know myself yet.
Yeah, I haven't even given
I
my
only
full.
use
I
half my
still know I
brain.
have a little bit left in my bag. Like there's still something else. That's probably why I haven't retired yet. Like I still
Yeah.
have something else that I can put out there. I don't know what it is yet, but it's gonna be like a hurdle and then like a backwards hurdle or something.
Okay, Saquon. So you surprise yourself.
Yeah, we'll
That
see.
so I asked because I feel the same way. Like when I was thinking about, I played Boston 20 times in my career, and most of that was with the same defensive coordinator
Mhm.
and a lot of the same defensive players, like their core players have been there 10 years. But I feel like I've had some of my best games against them, despite the fact that they knew my tendencies. I'm a lefty, sometimes I'll run. Um, they knew some of my tendencies, a lot of my tendencies as a quarterback, but I feel like there was always something different I gave them every game, whether I knew it or not. Something like would come out, and I'm like, oh, I surprised myself there, like a little spin that I don't ever
Right?
do.
That's what I'm talking about. There's
Like,
something else in your bag you don't
but
even know.
yeah, if it's like I had some of my best games playing against them despite the fact that, we would lose, so I just felt like, Ninja, you've been around since the ice ages. So, I felt like it was a good to ask somebody who's been around 10 plus
Ice
years,
ages. Yeah,
20
no,
plus
I do have to
years.
say though, legendary in the way that I knew about you before I met you, and then when we got to play together on a couple different teams, right?
Yeah.
Like AFE, and then Team USA. There's probably some others in there like can't think of right now, but you hold down whatever you're doing, and there's no worry that you're not going to do your job.
No.
So you as a player, I just have a lot of respect for you for sure.
It's a funny thing because Ninja, I think when we first met at the World Games, I don't know if it was 2017 or 2018, but it was when we had I forget what uniforms it was, but we were on the same team, and that was when I met you, and I would see you practicing in like the camp that led up to like the little exhibition game. And I think I remember, I don't know if you remember me telling you, like, I'm glad we're teammates. We got selected to be on the same team because you were a beast. And like you said, like the best impression on me in terms of like just how you played. So I was so thankful that we were teammates that time. And that was when I was still youngish in my career. I started in 11, but I was like, I've never seen a linebacker like this. So you can't destroy me. We're on the same team now. Thank you. I
I,
don't know if you remember me telling you that.
She's afraid of you. That's
I do. I do remember that. I do
It's a
remember
long
you
time
telling me
ago.
that. I was like, okay.
I got to experience the teammate briefly, Knengi, and then I also got to experience the defensive coordinator Knengi and the Toys for Tots. And Knengi wanted to blitz me 85% of the time. Like there was always 2 extra people coming,
trying to put you on the run.
Trying to like take my head off, like as if she was playing. So what was the game plan behind that?
The game plan behind that was, well, first I had to figure out what I had, and then I had to figure out if they were going to move or if I had to move them.
Okay. You moved them.
I moved them a little bit. So, it's nobody told me I couldn't blitz. So,
yeah, that was fun.
We've been hearing some stuff with, the West Coast, like Seattle. What do you?
We're gonna get into this because
there's a lot of drama, or there's a lot of there's a lot of things going on, and I don't know. I've only heard and read things, and I don't know if it's accurate because I haven't talked to anyone directly from the team. But do you have any insight on Seattle?
I have zero insight into Seattle. I mean, it's I know as much as anybody else knows. I'm in touch with Coach Rodney just because we coach together, and so I just told him best of luck, and I've told some of their players, I hope the best for your season. It's just one of those things where I do believe it was 2 different visions on their culture, and so it's up to the owners of the organization how they want their culture to go, right? Because your culture starts at the top with the organization because they bring in the head coach. And so if that program, whoever it is that's in charge of it, felt like he wasn't the right vision, then like you got to make the change. Especially if you feel like you have somebody else in your program who might be more of what you want. I know we had 2 different head coaches. We had me in 21, and then we had Archie and Serrata, and now me again. And part of the reason I'm the head coach again is because while those 2 guys are great and we appreciate everything they did for the program, they were not getting us to where the ownership knew we wanted to be. And where we wanted to be was where we are right now. And if you were part of this team 3 or 4 years ago, we're not the same team. Our culture isn't the same. It's grown a lot. And so it all starts with the leadership at the top, and that's the head coach, and the head coach is brought in by the owners. So, I like Rodney. I think he's a good coach. I like a lot of the Seattle players. Like I definitely recruited some of them. So my hope is that whatever they feel their cultural path it needs to be, that the people in charge now are on that path with them.
I guess we'll see how it plays out because I feel like it's still going. But so I have a question. This is just in general, and I feel like you've been around to see women's tackle football evolve. Do you think that there's any time in the future women will be paid to play?
I think that we'll get to a point where people can earn like bonuses for stats and stuff. I think that teams will probably get to a point where they have funding that helps pay for travel and stuff like that. I don't know that people are going to be able to live off of this in the near future, but I do think that there is money that will come into the highest levels of women's football. And I don't think it's a league that has 60 plus teams. I think that's not.
I agree.
Nobody can give money to all of that. They'll say, okay, we'll give money to your top 20.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to become like, what's that movie where that quarterback started in like the feeder league, like semi-pro, and he was like getting money for touchdowns and stuff, and he's like, hey, you get money for touchdowns. Anyway, I think that's what it's gonna be like. It's gonna become like that, like, yeah, you get $100 per touchdown, and then it's incentivized, whatever. But if you could say there's one thing that women's tackle football in general is missing, what would you say it is?
Better tackling.
Oh,
wow.
You know what? I agree with that.
All the things. Well, one thing it's missing is the tackling.
I mean, I think the passing game needs to improve. But I think better tackling, because right now, like some teams just blow out other teams because the other team can't freaking tackle. If they could tackle, it'd at least look more competitive.
Like a defensive player.
Yeah, you know what? I used to think it was passing, but now I feel like you've changed my mind. Like, of course it's tackling. You know what I mean? Like,
of course,
how many passing. There's every single game you see someone who misses a tackle for not having a proper technique.
Have you
I
seen
feel like that's
quarterback play in
every
women's
single
football?
game. Yeah,
Have you
but
seen-
that's
run the
even
ball.
better. I feel like tackling is still something that, because you don't really practice it, during the season. At least I've never been on a team where we're tackling during the season in
Have you
practice.
seen
But
completion percentages being like 35%?
I mean, I agree, but I feel like it's a close
Knengi
second.
being one of them.
I think tackling. I don't really like that answer. I'm adopting that as my new answer. It's
Can't
tackling.
adopt that.
Yeah.
Take your own answer.
So we don't work on a ton of tackling per se, but we do a fit drill at least one practice a week. And it's real quick. We do basically like everybody partners up and we work on our leverage fits and like shooting the hips and basically getting the person off balance. And then we do it as our 2-foot near foot so that we're tracking them. And then we also do like neck, basically like an ISO neck hold all 4 ways just to help strengthen our necks. So we actively work on tackling. We like work on it. I don't think to be a good tackler, you have to take people to the ground almost ever. But we work tackling starting in our off-season workouts. We work tackling fundamentals and technique.
So as we wrap up, we're going to play a game because even though you've never watched an episode, we like to play games here.
I'm ready.
And this is going to be a good game that's going to require you to think quick.
Okay.
This game is called Fact or Cap. And you're going to have a 30-second timer. I have 8 questions for you.
Oh, wait, let me get the timer ready. Hold on.
Lexi's going to time it. And I'm going to ask you the questions. And you have to think quickly. If you say fact, that means you agree. Cap, disagree.
Yeah.
Sound good?
First thing that comes to your head. All right.
All right. You only got 30 seconds, so you better knock these out.
I'm ready.
Ready, set, go.
Currently, Mississippi is a team to beat in the WNFC.
Fact.
The Houston Mambas will not return in 2026.
Fact. Yeah.
Seattle letting their head coach go mid-season was ultimately the best decision for their team.
Cap.
Some WNFC teams would be WFA D3 teams.
Cap.
Knengi Martin will be playing tackle football in 2 years from now.
Yeah. Facts.
Prime Boston will beat Prime Texas in a single elimination game.
Ooh, I think so. Facts.
There are politics in Team USA selection process.
Facts.
Amanda Congialdi is the toughest QB to game plan against.
And time.
Okay. Okay. I never played against you, dog. I never got taped, so like
the Toys for Tots, that counts, man.
no, that doesn't count. I didn't get to watch the film
It's
of
not
you.
really game plan.
Bro, if I get to watch film of you, it's a wrap.
You're gonna be like some of those coaches that'd be like, I saw your weaknesses. I
No,
saw
I'm
your
not.
strengths.
No. I'm just gonna figure out how to limit the things you want to do and see who
And then
comes
take
out
it all
best.
away.
Look, I'm just
Boston
saying.
couldn't take
Hey,
it all
I'd be
away.
able to beat you, I think.
Lexi's gonna be the defensive
As a
coordinator.
defensive coordinator, I could beat Amanda.
see, there we go. I don't know.
Blitz
I mean,
everybody.
I will say with
Blitz
the
everybody.
2017 national team, I had 2 of their games, and me and KO charted all their plays. And that first half, I swear to God, I was calling every single one of their plays. They'd line up, and I'd call out a play. And you know that look when you call something, and then the defense knows what you're doing. You're like, oh, I could recognize it in them. I was like, oh, I just called their play. Say less, dude.
Yes. So as we close out the show, right? We talked a little bit about your injury. I have had a significant injury with my ACL. I know it's tough to deal with, right? And like that's common in women's football. ACL injuries or like even big injuries, they happen. They're part of sports. What's something you would tell somebody who is dealing with like a season-ending injury, or an injury that puts them out for a significant time because there's such a mental struggle with that? And one of the first conversations I had with you after finding out about that is like you were just so positive and you looked at it a certain way. So what could you tell somebody to kind of alter their thought process with regards to like the injury?
I think I'm really lucky in that because I'm also a coach for this team, I don't just have to kind of stand back. I now run our scout teams because it's like I have I don't have to play, so now I can just help run scout for our coordinators. And so I'm lucky that I get to be really involved. And so I would tell somebody that if they truly feel like that team is part of their family, be around them because they should be uplifting you and they should be, making taking the time to make you feel like you're part of something that's more than just you on your own. The other thing I would tell somebody is that if they are actually truly passionate about football, is stand next to your coach as they're calling plays and take the time to take the mental reps and walk, like, run the play with your person, right? If you're a corner, take the mental rep. Think about how you would play them, right? How you would cover them. Watch the receivers. So my quarterback coach, because I was still going to my quarterback coach every Sunday, uh, he always talks about when we're waiting in line to take the mental rep, like to do it even though we're not doing it. And so I think that's something that I've tried to talk to our IR players about before I got injured is don't just stand off to the side and talk, because then what's the point of you being out here if you really want to learn football? If you're planning to come back next year, use this time to learn with no pressure, like understand the concepts, hear the play calls, just stand by the coordinators, hear the play calls that are going in. And there's a lot that can come from just listening and learning football. I know that the COVID year, we had a tryout and then COVID hit, so we didn't have a season. And I think part of the reason we were so good in 21 was because we did Zoom meetings our whole season. Any night that we had practice, we did a Zoom meeting where we either watched scout film or we talked about concepts. And so our players got their football IQ went up in that time. And so that's what it should be. If you've got good coaches, your football IQ will elevate if you just listen to what they're talking about and how they're coaching other players up.
That's great. I love that. Do you believe in meditation? Like, do you do meditative, like thinking through plays, like exactly what you would do? Or, I know people get really into it and they're like, the smell and the taste, like what does the grass, what does the turf feel like who's in the stands, like they get really into it. Do you practice that, or do you talk about that with your team?
I have not ever really practiced that. I do when I'm watching film. Like there will be times when I'll stand and I'll actually move with plays. I usually talk out loud when I'm calling strengths or talking about formations. So like I try to put myself in that game mode, but like thought mode. But I only recently, probably with Coach Farrell in 17, started really thinking about like visualization and mindset and like growth mindset and all that stuff. So I don't do anything like extra, but I definitely do try to place myself in the game when I'm watching it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. That's it for episode 7. It's great to always get a legend on our podcast. So excited that we got to talk to you. Hopefully we'll see you around, right? Are you going to be at playoffs? I guess I won't see you at playoffs either. Championship weekend. You're going to be at championship weekend?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Good luck with your recovery as well, and good luck to the rest of San Diego. I know they're gonna probably, bind together even more that their leader is on the sideline. So
yeah.
Good luck to the rest of San Diego. That's us for episode 7. We'll see you next time.
So that's it for this episode of the Peach Pod. Subscribe, like, and share so that we can promote women's tackle football or women's sports in general. We're always sponsored by Protagonist Apparel, owned by a female athlete. If you want, check out that website at www.protagonistapparel.com. It's protagonist with a Y. Until next time, keep your pads low and your game high.
This is just 2 Peaches in a Pod signing off.